My name is Ella Harrison and I'm currently studying business management at Leeds Beckett University. I'm in my first semester and today I'm going to discuss my interpretation of marketing myths. First off, I'm going to discuss marketing organisations and their orientations. I think the best way to describe marketing is a philosophy of business that focuses on identifying the needs of customers and also a management process of exchange in order to satisfy customer requirements. Marketing strategies are important for all businesses set out in order to remain successful. Things to take into consideration are whether the business is selling to a customer or consumer, which is B2C, where a customer buys products and services from a company for a gift for someone else or for their own consumption. Then you also have B2B businesses, which is business to business, where a business purchases from another business. So, for example, organisational equipment, raw materials, usually buying products in bulk. We produce what our target customers want to buy is a form of marketing orientation that's used. It's small multi-corporate global organisations have to communicate with customers to know their expectations. It's important that businesses know their target audience and know what they require and need from them in order to become successful, in order to gain loyal customers, and in order to produce the most sales. We sell what we produce as a form of sales orientation that is used in businesses, and this is something that can usually cause conflict or amount to further issues. It is thought that traditional orientations without a marketing philosophy are not as successful. Successful companies nowadays have a traditional setup orientation with several departments in. These usually consist of the financial department, the research and development department, production line, HR department, and of course the marketing department. It's important that none of these are too focused on their own individual aims and they all work together to achieve overall success, as if they didn't they could end up losing loyal customers and potentially losing sales. Moving forward, in this section I'm going to discuss the challenge of contrasting the marketing myths with reality. A strong brand is invincible. In terms of branding, many claim that a sound, successful brand will become invincible. This is not true, as we live in a world that changes 24/7. We're in a 24/7 cycle where technology is changing every second and traditional media change their views and outlook on things every day. The brand Toyota comes to mind as a good example for me, as this brand was and is very strong, but I've read and heard over the years that they've survived some serious questions when it came to their business and their morals, and if they had not handled those in the way they did as well as they did, then they could have made permanent damage for them and they could have been done for good. Another example that comes to mind when talking about a strong brand is invincible is Coke, as Coke is a very strong brand and some may see it as invincible, but it's not. They're having to bring out new ideas and be so innovative every time they bring out a new product. They have to market it well and everything, so they're having to compete with things and with other businesses, especially after Pepsi moved up a few notches in the consumer's minds. Factors that can affect that a strong brand is invincible myth is competitors, financial and economical factors. A strong brand is never invincible due to those factors. No matter how good a brand is, something can always just change it in a second. For example, if we were to ever hit another recession and that was the same time Apple had brought out their brand new product at the highest prices, and they're going to suffer for that in some way. That they can't. In the economy that we're in, it's so demanding and can change so quickly that no business can claim to be invincible. A satisfied customer is a loyal customer. One of the largest factors to a successful business is gaining new customers and managing to retain them as a loyal one. However, the myth of a satisfied customer is always a loyal customer is not always true. For example, in some cases, such as the buying of a house, someone might be very satisfied with the house they've been sold, however, because they are so satisfied with it, because they don't want to move house or change house, they will not be returning. They won't return to the house, they won't want to purchase another house. So therefore they won't return and they won't be considered as a loyal customer. Saying this, something that they could do is provide a very good word of mouth, so that which will stimulate and bring new customers to them, and then they might become loyal customers. But saying that a satisfied customer is always a loyal customer is not always true, and I've given an example why. That is king and queen. The most valuable asset for any business is a customer. They must be placed at the heart of all decision making and planning. I think that this myth is important, and all businesses should put their customers' needs first, as complaints spread like wildfire nowadays, especially online, even word of mouth. One thing businesses should take into consideration is that the world has never been more connected than we are today. What was once a case of people sharing a bad situation with 10 friends now can potentially be a post going viral through social media, highlighting poor service to millions of people. The United Airlines guitar incident is a good example that I read up on of this. Basically, someone's £3,500 tailored guitar neck had been broken by an airline service. He tried to get a claim processed with United Airlines, and they said no. They claimed he had waited longer than 24 hours to process a claim, so he was out of luck. He eventually wrote a song and produced a music video and put it on YouTube. The song was titled "And United Breaks Guitars," and it went viral. This tsunami of bad public relations and a complete lack of treating the customer like the king or queen certainly had an effect on people's decision on choosing the airline. The BBC reported that United stock dropped by 10% within 2 to 3 weeks of release of the video, which ended up to be a decrease in valuation of £180 million. This is a very good example of how always, for the customer, always being the heart of all decision making, and customers should always be put first. This is a myth that I believe to be very true. Another marketing myth that I'm going to speak about is a big name brand could sustain a higher price. A big example to go against this is McDonald's. McDonald's is one of the biggest big name brands in the world, and it's one of the cheapest fast food retailers as well. So this is a proof that a big name brand can sustain a higher price, but doesn't always have to. It comes down to whether or not the customer perceives the service or products to be worth it. It's not about being the cheapest. Another marketing myth is that companies should only focus on making a profit. In some cases, companies do need to concentrate on making a profit in order to survive. They need to be able to make profit and afford the means to carry on running. Having a business objective that involves maximising products does create certain benefit. It allows them to be more cost efficient, and it also gives businesses a higher chance at looking into expansion and growth, which is always good for businesses. An example is Apple. For example, they do focus highly on being a profit-based business. In order to be successful, they have to focus on profit. They have to keep focusing on the money they're making in order to expand the way they are doing and be so successful. However, I do not think that they do only focus on profit, because other factors need to be involved in order to make the profit. Other factors, environmental factors like pollution in their product lines and in the distribution, making sure the customers are happy. Customer service is another thing they need to focus on in order to make their profit. This is in order to maintain and retain their the good reputation they have, and in order for them to keep on making the profit they're making. So in order to ensure a successful business to continue making profit, there are many other things that the business needs to focus on apart from making the profit. They need to make sure the customers are happy at all times. Like I said earlier on, the customer should be the heart of all decision making and all thoughts when making business decisions. All in all, I believe I have shown my ability to reflect on the lessons learned, and I have shown understanding of the contrasting marketing myths with reality.